story of Kingpin Frank Lucas. At first glance, he's the sharp-suited drug kingpin everyone knew from the slick streets of Harlem. A man who ran a narcotics empire, shipping high-quality heroin into America right under the government's nose. But today's glimpse hinted at something deeper. In the late 1960s, Frank Lucas faced the consequences of his notorious crimes. However, this wasn't just another day in court. Some might consider his life as a tale of guts, cleverness, and cold ambition. Yet something unexpected happened during one fateful court appearance. A moment that peeled back layers to reveal a surprisingly tender side of this giant of organized crime. Sitting in that court, as Frank was about to hear charges that could take away his freedom for life, a familiar group walked in. Lucas's estranged family. The once unflinching gaze that commanded both respect and fear seemed to waver. From the shadows stepped his family, faces marked by years of absence, longing, and disappointment. This time, they weren't there as bystanders, but as poignant symbols of how Frank's double life had left bruises deeply etched on more than just those on the streets. You see, while the world recognized his power and wealth, few knew how isolated he had become from the very people he once vowed to protect. There in the room was his wife, Julie, her eyes a well of emotions untold. His children who were barely old enough to comprehend the full scope of their father's empire. And relatives whose lives had splintered from the same choices that made Frank Lucas a legend in Harlem. This sight moved Frank in ways his adversaries' threats never could. Witnesses later recounted how that day, Lucas glimpsed the true cost of his empire. Not just in dollars and jail time, but in the lost years and betrayed trust that stood silently before him. A vulnerability few ever saw cracked through his hardened facade. Yet, what's remarkable? Even with a crack in his armor, Frank Lucas's response surprised everyone. Instead of the expected bravado, what came was an admission of regrets, acknowledging the precious life he couldn't fully live. A pivotal moment that shook the courtroom and left both ally and adversary agape. The unexpected vulnerability stirred uncertainty in everyone. While Frank Lucas was indeed a notorious figure, that single courtroom glimpse of emotional wear left witnesses questioning if beneath the crime legend lay a man haunted by his choices. Even legends are not invincible. Stay curious, for there's always more beneath the surface.